Said I'm all about it. Yeah, 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 yeah.
All right, guys. So I'm so excited, or we're so excited to welcome Isaac Boots to the show. I mean, Isaac, I have so many questions for you because not only are you a choreographer, you've been a Broadway dancer, but you're also a celebrity trainer. I have to ask because, I used to perform as well. And everyone always asks me, how did you get started? Like, how did you get started in this career that led to a plethora of careers in itself?
I think a series of taking risks and showing up. I think that is the most important thing, right? And to get anywhere, to achieve anything that you want to, you really just have to show up and give yourself fully. I mean, I come from a very different life. I grew up in Hawaii on food stamps. I couldn't even afford dance classes, and I would just watch Madonna videos on a loop on MTV. I'm a kid of the 80s, so it was like Madonna. And she was really my first dance teacher. I would watch Open Your Heart over and over again. I hated that little boy in the video so much because it should have been me. I still hold a grudge. But I practiced my hitch kicks and my turns. And I just knew I had to get to New York. New York to me was like Oz, and I saved money from 7th grade, to buy myself a one-way ticket to New York. And the morning after high school graduation, 8 a.m., I flew to New York, had nowhere to live, had $35, lived illegally on my friend Matthew Tinker's NYU dorm floor. Thank you, Matt. And auditioned every day, and it was so much fun. And it was a different time. It was New York in '98 was very much a different city, and it was very much alive. Not that it isn't alive now, but it was alive in a different way. And I think a mixture of naivete and blind ambition, not blonde ambition, blind ambition. I mean, I couldn't afford like headshots and resumes. I had no resume anyway. And I didn't know that you needed to like be part of the union to audition. Yeah, I didn't know all these rules. So I just I would like steal equity cards and run into auditions, or just knock on casting directors' doors, or just like bamboozle my way to the front. I knew I didn't suck. So in like 6 months, I booked my first show, and I was dancing on Broadway nonstop for 12 years, shows like Mamma Mia and Hair and West Side Story.
I'm such a fan of Broadway. It's I used to dance, or I used to perform with Cirque du Soleil for a very long time. I love Broadway. Wow. And what was your first show? Because already you're getting into talking about taking risks, moving to New York. We have a couple of risks that I want to ask you about, that I've read in your bio, that I've researched on you too. But what was your first Broadway show, and what was that experience like, taking that chance, leaving Hawaii, coming to New York with $35 with nothing in your pocket?
Yeah.
And then you're on stage. Imagine. Fast forward to what show, and what was that like? What was that feeling?
The first show I got was actually the European tour of Greece. And it was a crazy experience, an amazing experience, where I got to, see Paris for the first time, and live in Berlin, and travel all over Switzerland and Austria, and dance my ass off and save a lot of money. And then when I came back home, I was in Mamma Mia for like 7 years at the Winter Garden.
What a beautiful theater to perform in.
It was my home, and like I still walk by it, and I know all the crew guys. They're all my friends. We spent every holiday together, and Mamma Mia was a huge hit. So people stayed in it for years and years and years. And then I booked West Side Story, and that was sort of the pinnacle. That to me was like a dancer's dream. I didn't have formal training like the other boys who, were in SAB and like proper ballet companies from when they were 3. I didn't really start proper dance classes until sophomore year of high school, when there was an after school program, and I just sort of like I had people like sit on me to get my splits and like, you know, break my feet. And I just put all of my energy there. And when I moved to New York, actually, I'm sort of going back and forth, but when I moved to New York, I was on scholarship at Steps Dance Studio, and I scrubbed their bathroom floors to get 10 free dance classes a week. And, you know, I was taking ballet. I'd never taken ballet before, but it kept me sort of like working on my craft the entire time that I was on Broadway. I never sort of rested on my laurels.
Kind of gives you a respect for it too, you know, having to work so hard to even dance in a studio, to go to class. I mean, that shows
Absolutely.
so much discipline.
There's nothing to fall back on. So
Right.
it's kind of good. There's no safety net. So you better just keep getting better, darling.
I wanted to segue with you for a minute because you're talking about this incredible start and how much it took ambition and just strength to really move from Hawaii to New York City with $35. And, you know, there are a lot of people who do it and a lot of people who fail, and they don't have the incredible story that you have, which is so inspiring. And there's someone who's going to listen to this in any other interview that you do, and they're like, well, he did it, I might have a chance. So I do want to give you that. I have to give you your flowers where your flowers are due. But for those who are listening who might not know, the first time I met you was on the set of my first music video ever. If you guys don't know, I was a video girl. No, I wasn't. But this video in particular was Ariana Grande's Break Free. And you were the choreographer for this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
Before we get into it, you have this incredible start. How did you start being the choreographer for Ariana Grande, who is now one of our biggest pop stars in pop culture?
We always knew that Ariana was going to be the biggest star. I mean, her talent is like beyond. It's immeasurable, and she's gorgeous. So while I was in West Side Story, I was asked by Brooke Shields to choreograph a number for her at the Box, which had just opened. And you know, it's my whole life is really just a series of like opportunity where people are like, do something out of your comfort zone at a really high level. It just is, you know. I mean, even me auditioning for Broadway, I mean, like, you know, that takes a bit of insanity. I wasn't like conservatory trained, and I'm like with these like very serious dancers. So I choreographed I choreographed that number for Brooke. She loved it. Then she asked me to do her one woman show at Feinstein's. It went great. Opening night, I got a rave in the New York Times, which sort of like put me on the map as a choreographer in New York, because the New York Times is like the Bible here. From that, I was asked to choreograph Hugh Jackman at Jazz at Lincoln Center. And from that, I was asked to do one gig with Ariana Grande, who at the time was on a Nickelodeon show called Victorious. And she was wanting to create a pop star, pop music career. And I was like, yeah, great. I'd known Ariana since she was like 13. Her brother and I were in Mamma Mia years prior, and quite close friends. You know, so I'd always loved her and loved her family. And I did that one gig, and it was a success, and we hit it off in that professional way. And I started choreographing everything, and we started like curating a whole act and a whole thing. And when I started working with Ariana, I would start rehearsal with my workout. It wasn't called torch day, it was just my workout. It transformed her body the way the workout does. And word of mouth happened, and all of a sudden, you know, I'm going from choreographing the Billboard Awards and you know, European Music Awards and VMAs and every music video she was in, to, you know, training, doing my workout and training Kelly Ripa, Faye Dunaway, Priyanka Chopra, like major names, Gwyneth Paltrow, like, you know, back to back. And it started filling up my entire day. That's really just how my career went. It was like the universe saying, okay, it's part of your DNA, and it's all leading, all that information, all that experience, choreographing, dancing 8 shows a week, having to show up, you know, having all that pressure on you, and understanding what it's like to be a major star. You know, I was with Ari when she really became a major star, and to experience that as a first, to experience an artist's firsts with them as your first, it was invaluable education. Right. You know, so now whenever I work with someone, I approach them with that knowledge. And so I understand the pressures of it. I understand that it's not all hunky-dory. You know,
it's not all hunky-dory.
I love that. But I do have to ask you too, you know, when I met you on set, and I remember this was my first music video ever, and I thought it was so incredible. I remember you were doing your thing. You were sitting there talking to Ariana's mom, and they tried keeping us, because we were the background, we had to wear those alien masks, and they tried keeping us in a room. And I would use any excuse I could to go down and get food or to try to see what was going on. And you were so hands-on. But I remember also before that, I went to go do a costume sort of check situation a couple of days before the music video, where they made sure that all of the stuff fit us. And that was when I met the twins. And when I met the twins, who now I believe they still are Ariana's choreographers, right?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. So I remember they were talking about how they were about to become the lead choreographers, and that you were sort of taking a step back in that moment.
Yeah.
And I didn't know, looking back at it, I saw all of these headlines where they, of course, you know, people, they love to run with the headlines and they pit you against each other, and, you know, Isaac versus Ariana or versus the twins or whatever. And I was going back and looking at headlines from so long ago. Did we ever get the real story, like how you ended up kind of parting ways? Because some people in the comments of those articles were saying, you know, you don't walk away from someone who has this huge career that's building and getting bigger and bigger, and you were her lead choreographer. You don't just part ways unless, you know, there's some sort of problem. But sometimes people like to allude to things and they don't have the whole story. So I'm wondering if anybody ever got that whole story from you.
No. And they won't. No. It look, at the end of the day, it was an amazing, truly surreal experience in every sense of the word. And Hollywood, how could it hurt you when it looks so good? Madonna.
Yeah, I remember that album very well.
No, but you have to, it's like you have to roll with the punches. And at the end of the day, the trajectory of my life and my career has been correct. And the trajectory of Ariana's career is amazing, you know? Right. And so I think I was there and we shared amazing, very special moments, you know, that are very, very rare. And it was perfect in its time, you know? And I love where we both went. You know, I was able to work with my idols and work with other stars and work with real people who aren't in the industry at all. And sort of, you know, now I get to travel around the world and connect with people who know me virtually every day, you know, from Tokyo to Australia to Europe. And I think sometimes situations have to happen to force you to reach your potential. And when you may think, no matter how hurtful, you know, conjecture is, and people love a soundbite and they love a headline and they love making things sort of more fantastical than the actual reality is. No matter how hurtful it is in the moment, if you can't handle it, then you're not built for it. You know what I mean?
No, of course.
If you want to put yourself out there and you want success and you want to be invited and you want to be on the red carpet and you want this and that, you have to come to terms with the fact that people will instinctively try to bring you down.
And rejection is
you
a part
can't
of
be
it.
angry about it. You can't be sad about it. You can't be surprised about it. And people will always be gunning for your position and gunning for your role. And I say, have it. Because I can do a lot more.
Too, Isaac, you know, from Broadway and stuff, there's always someone to fill in. The understudy's always ready to go on, you know, whatever. But I feel like every opportunity, like you said, leads to something else. Like you've taken so many risks that have led you to something else. I mean,
yes.
I do want to say really quickly, because I didn't know your Madonna influence so much. I'm a huge Madonna fan. I'm also a child from the 80s, so I feel you. But there was one Ariana Grande video that you definitely had some homage to Madonna. Which
Right
video was
there.
that? Right there. Yes.
Right
that
there.
was fantastic. I loved how you
with Big Sean.
with Big Sean, and how you emulated almost that scene, like as a
Well, it was definitely, look, I am a student of Madonna, and I'm really a student of the great choreographers, like old school choreographers. And Vincent Patterson, who did who created that Vogue VMA performance from 1990, is one of my idols. And I felt that you know, if we were going to go there, if we're going to do like a sort of Victorian or like Marie Antoinette sort of moment, we have to reference the Queen. And I think it turned out beautifully. You know, she looked so elegant, and I like to create pictures, you know, and vignettes. And I'm really proud of that video, actually.
It was fantastic to watch. I'm giddy even talking about Madonna here. I do want to bring up something too, because Adam and I were talking about this. Adam started his YouTube channel during the pandemic, and you know, as much as that was such a struggle for so many people, a lot of people found a way to create something amazing from a very dark time. And I know you were talking about that Torched has been kind of your thing for a long time, but was it during the pandemic you actually said, you know, I want to put this together? Because I know that I was reading an article at that you were doing a lot of Instagram lives and stuff during the pandemic with Torched, yeah. Right? And that's, yeah. Is that not how it started? Or
there was no sort of strategy, you know. I mean, okay. 3 years before the pandemic, I had been, you know, doing Torched with Gwyneth Paltrow, with major stars, and I'd be flown out for Paris Fashion Week. I'd be flown out for Art Basel, Coachella, which is where I actually met Lisa Rinna for the first time years ago. She came to take Torched there. You know, so I was sort of known in these rarefied circles, you know, and Gwyneth took me on the first in Goop Health event in Austin, Texas, in the fall of 2019. And so when COVID happened, I had just got back from Paris. I was there for like almost a month. There was so much sort of uneasiness and uncertainty, right? And so I went out to the Hamptons and quarantined there. I think it was like March 13th. And 3 days in, I decided to offer an Instagram Live as a one-off, okay? Really just out of you know, boredom. And I got on that one live, and we had like less than 100 people on it. And at the end of that live, someone wrote, "Thank you from Guatemala." And I was like, that's cool. And so I logged on the next day, same time, 11 a.m. East. And there were 200 people on, and some of them were my clients, like Naomi Watts or, you know, Jessica Chastain. And then the next day, it was like 500. So it just kept growing. And all of my clients kept coming on. Kelly Ripa, Vanessa Hudgens, la, la, la. And after a week, we had over like 2,000 on the live, including people all over the world. And I started getting DMs saying, "Can we Venmo you?" Like, this is like, you know, this is just giving me like a sense of like something to look forward to every day. And I didn't feel comfortable with that. So I reached out to No Kid Hungry to create a direct link. And I encouraged people, in lieu of paying me, to click donate in my bio. And let's see what happens. You know, my first goal was $1,000. The first day we raised over 10,000. The first month we were over 100,000, and in 6 months we were
Wow.
over 1 million.
Wow. Yes, that was
And
something I
that-
read. Wow.
But that was it. I was okay. This is my purpose, actually. Everything I've worked for, and all the turmoil and the whatever, this is really what it's about. I wouldn't be able to walk into my purpose and do what I'm doing now had I not experienced everything that I've experienced.
Right.
Had I not experienced being skewered in the press, lied about, harassed.
Right.
Had I not been, uninvited or disinvited to certain events, had I not been not chosen for that Broadway show,
No, you built
had I
this.
not been chosen for that.
I mean,
Broadway
Isaac,
show.
I don't think any of
all
this,
these-
none of this would have happened if you did not choose to go to New York with $35 in your pocket and take that
Exactly.
risk, as you have taken risks so many times in your career, just reading about you
Yeah.
and reading about everything you've done, watching your work. I mean, this is incredible, the stuff you've built. $1 million for No Kid Hungry is, people don't just do that.
See, look at that.
Wow.
And what I wanted to piggyback off of what Jason's saying is, my question for you is, there are so many different incredible workout programs. Like we have Barry's Boot Camp and Orange Theory, and we have Torched, and they require, I know that they have mobile apps, but a lot of them have studios. Is that something that you would ever want to branch into, or do you think that being mobile
at this point, that doesn't really interest me. I mean,
okay.
I think my brand really is at home.
Okay.
I mean, I was just in Europe for over a month, and we went, I did a retreat in Tuscany. We were in Rome, Paris, Venice, Milan, Monte Carlo, London. And, I'm at random cafes, random restaurants. And like hundreds of people are coming up to me every day that like they're like, Isaac Boots, we love you. We do Torch, la la la. And it was really eye-opening, because I don't necessarily know that, because they're not on my live. They do it on my recorded videos the next morning. And it's like, that's much more interesting to me, to have that sort of reach and to be able to sort of be on tour and meet everybody, and they feel like they know me, and we have inside jokes because of the ridiculous things that I say in my live streams, and which have gotten me into trouble in the past, but it's worth it. And I don't know, that's much more interesting to me. I mean, I'm a risk taker, and I never want to do anything that's cookie cutter, and I never wanted to be a teacher. Like, that's not what I am. I'm not. I like to connect. I like to meet people. I'm curious, and I like to create.
Yeah, maybe you can be. This is something I talk to a lot of my friends about who have gone into teaching, like dance or acrobatics and stuff like that. Is they don't think they're great.
But I don't want to
teachers.
teach in the studio.
They don't think they're great teachers, but they're amazing teachers. And you do.
I didn't say I wasn't a great teacher.
No, I'm not saying that either. No, I'm just saying that you have such a power to communicate something and to, like you said, meet people and open people's eyes. Now, for people who, were interested, let's say, in Torched, I know it's a pretty exclusive deal, but I mean, I'm the Today Show has said that you have blended fitness with his time spent creating dances for the pop music scene into a full body workout that burns fat, tones muscles, and gets your heart pumping. I want to do this.
I want to get my ass torched.
How do I do this?
Well, let's go, baby. You can just subscribe to me on Instagram. It's $9.99 a month. By the way, I donate that to World Childhood Foundation. So I have $1 million goal for World Childhood Foundation, which was founded by Queen Sylvia of Sweden, to help stop child sex trafficking. I felt like I spent the pandemic feeding children, and now that we're out, we need to protect them.
Absolutely.
Subscribe. I have over 500 workouts on there. You can work out with me live at 11 a.m. and it's a party. And I have to say, look, I just got back from Atlanta, Georgia, yesterday. Actually, I did an event there. And over 200 people were there. People drove in from Kentucky, Arizona, flew in from Michigan, Florida. Like, it was crazy. You know, it ain't cheap. Like, to come to a live event, it's $100, and for a 45-minute class. And I stayed after for like 2 hours and met everybody and took the selfies and took the moments and heard these stories and met these amazing people that sort of like, you know, come from a different world and come from different worlds, you know, but they have sort of one cohesive thread. And that is, you know, they are interested in not only taking care of themselves and their bodies, but also, you know, helping kids and doing something for a cause.
And how many times a year do you run these in-person live workouts?
Probably a few times a month, you know, and I travel from Palm Beach to New York to the Hamptons to Beverly Hills. I'm heading to Barcelona this Friday, actually, with Gwyneth Paltrow, to bring Torched with Goop to the Riviera. So
Nice.
I'm really excited.
That's so exciting.
Barcelona and Marseille and Santa Margarita and
listen,
Florence,
if whoever's
and
traveling
Rome.
with you, if they fall out, Jason, I'm going with Isaac.
Hey,
We're
that's
going.
fine. I'm just waiting for Isaac to come to
You
Palm
should
Beach, because
come.
I'm going to challenge Adam when you're down here in Palm Beach to doing one of your workouts, because
Yes.
listen, it would be so much fun to try. And the older I'm getting, I'm 40 now. So, you know, like the older I'm
Careful,
getting,
dear.
the harder the workouts are getting. But I
Yeah.
challenge Adam
Old
to go
age
with
ain't
me.
old age ain't for sissies. That's what Betty Davis said.
That's right. That's right.
Yes, I'll be at the Colony. I'll be at the Colony. So I'm going to be there, I think, for their 75th anniversary or some anniversary in December, and then throughout the winter. So sporadically.
But we'll definitely have to come see you.
My poodle's going crazy. Come, baby. Are you
Well-
excited? Come. So he likes attention.
Well, Jason's a
Hey.
Cancer and he likes attention. So I don't. at
You're a
this point,
Cancer too, and you love attention. So
I think
I don't
all
know what that-
horoscopes at this point. All horoscopes. But
Exactly.
Isaac, we know that you're a busy guy, and we wanted to say thank you again so much for jumping on with us. We're so excited to hear the mission of Torched and how you started it and just your incredible career. And I think that you're so inspiring. There are so many people out there right now, especially children. And right now, your mission is to help children, which is incredible. But children who are sitting in their room and they're like, I cannot wait to turn 18 to get out of this situation that I'm in, whether it's at home that, you know, there's not many motivational situations going on, or it's an abusive household, or whatever the case is. I feel like I can relate to your story in the sense that I left Tennessee. I had $3,000 in my pocket, not 35. So I had a little bit more of a fresh start.
You're rich.
I was rich.
You were a
Right,
rich
no.
bitch.
No, but you know, and I moved to Los
Jesus.
Angeles and got an apartment on Craigslist, just trusting some random person. But there are so
Good
many
Lord.
people who look up to these kinds of stories, who think at some points that maybe they can't do it, but it's proof that you can. You set your mind to something and you can make anything happen. Like, the guy is going across seas with Gwyneth Paltrow. Like, come on. We have to give the flowers where the flowers are due. So this is incredible. And you are one of our first guests on our podcast, which even makes it more fun because you were one of the first, in my mind. I have to say this, you were one of the first celebrities that I met in Los Angeles on my little journey over from Tennessee.
Isaac was the first person that you thought of for the podcast.
Yes.
Also.
Yes, that's true.
That's
when we
so
were talking
sweet.
about it.
That's so sweet.
And
Well, look, I do have to say, I remember meeting you on that set, and you were very, very sweet and excited and like a bright light. So if anything, shine brighter. Fuck them.
yes.
Yes. Fuck
Yes,
'em.
exactly. And no,
I will never dim my light, bitch, ever. Uh-uh.
No, but this
It annoys them. It annoys them even more. I love it.
Jason's right, though. It was a full circle moment and it means everything. So for you to be able to jump on with us, I think that it's just like, these are these kind of like, I know that when you say iconic, you think of like, you know, Madonna or something like that, or someone like that. But for me, like in my life, in my lifetime, in this journey that we're on, for me, this is an iconic full circle moment and it means everything. And Isaac, we can't
That's
wait for you to
very
come to
sweet.
Palm Beach. We are doing Torched with you.
I cannot wait. I cannot wait. Let's stay in touch, and I'll be there soon. I'll definitely be there for a moment in December and quite a bit through the winter. So
Yeah, text me.
I will. I will.
All right, Isaac.
Absolutely.
We
All
will
right.
see you soon.
Bye, boys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Isaac.